Good evening. This is the Western Washington Amateur Television Society net on the 08 machine. I'm Dave, 87CYM. Western Washington Amateur Television Society is a group of amateur radio enthusiasts that take to the airways with pass-scan television. We have a repeater located up on Cougar Mountain. We transmit on 70 centimeters. It's a crossband repeater and spits out images at 1.2 gigahertz. To find out more about the Western Washington Amateur Television Society, please Google WW7ATS. That's Google WW7ATS. That will take you to our homepage. There you'll find the frequencies that we operate on, a little background information on our club, and also you'll find a link there that will take you to YouTube, where we stream our nets held Wednesdays and Saturdays between 8 and 9 o'clock. Also, we'd like to thank the SeaTac Repeater Association for letting us use WW7STR's repeater 147.08 with a specific tone of 103.5 for voice transmissions during our nets. So with that, I'll pause in case anybody has emergency traffic or needs to make a contact before our net gets fully underway. This is Dave, KD7CYM.
Quick note, Dave. N7KC.
And checked in by video link already is Ron, KD7QKU. Lee, N7KC. Bob, K9PQ. Richard, K7ITX. Jim, N7QO. James, WU7N. And myself, Dave, KD7CYM. Is there anybody else who would like to check in? Hearing none, we'll get the go to go. And we'll start with Ron, KD7QKU.
Well, thank you, Dave. Good evening, everyone. This is Ron, KD7QKU. My goodness, over here in a wet Tacoma, we had over 3.77 inches of rain the last 2 or 3 days. We had more than 2.5 inches of rain yesterday. Just been pouring. I guess it's been like that all over. I don't know what the temperature is right now. It might be about 46 degrees. So what's been going on? I don't know. We went over to the senior center yesterday towards Ruston and had lunch. $3.50 a piece for lunch. It was stir fry, fried rice, and let's see. Oh, we had bread, French bread, and then a cup of ice cream and a fortune cookie. So for $3.50, it was more than I could eat. It was the lady that sat next to us said that a lot of people just bring like a Tupperware container or something and put the leftovers in and take it home. She said some of the people, if husband and wife, they'll share one plate, take the other plate home. So when the guy brought it to me and set it down, we just got there, and it was a spur of the moment deal, and he set the plate down, and I said, oh my golly, that's too much. I think that a lot of people, it's their main meal of the day. Possibly they may not have much for dinner. And then in the back of the room there was shelves, and there was all kind of pastries and stuff back there, bread, rolls. I don't know if there was muffins. I think there was muffins, and I don't know. There was some cakes. A lady taking a pretty good sized cake. I don't know where this stuff came from, but we were told we could have any of it we wanted to. Then there was a table sort of back there, and it had like salad bags on it, and there was some sandwich. I don't know, all kind of stuff. We actually didn't go look at it. And I asked Joanna if she thought she wanted any of the bread or pastry, and she said no. So we didn't go back and look at that either. The people weren't overly friendly, I'll say that. I knew one fellow there, his name was Jim. I met him at the Tacoma Ham Club, and he told me that he had been volunteering there for 12 or 14 years to wash dishes in the kitchen. So when we came in, we had to fill out a little piece of paper with our name and age and some stuff, address and stuff on it. And I asked the lady if Jim worked there, and she said, "Oh yeah, he's in the kitchen." I said I kind of knew him. She said okay or something. And anyway, so we sit down, and she seated us at a table. Like I say, man, instantly they had food there, and you could have coffee. I think I had water. Joanne had coffee, I think. Next thing I know, this Jim shows up, and he's my age or older, and doesn't live too far from there, he said. And he visited with us for quite a while. But other than that, no one else hardly said hello to us. But they seem to be, in little cliques, little groups of maybe people that have been friends for quite a while, and they sit together at a table. So I suppose eventually. And then, of course, they have a lot of other things that go on there. They even had one day of the week, in the afternoon, they have line dancing league. So the place is okay. It's nothing special. It looks like a couple of pre-manufactured buildings put together. It's flat roofed, and it's been well used, and a lot of tables, and there was kind of the dining room, and then I guess there was a room next to it that was open for exercise classes and stuff. So they gave us a list of the menu for the month, and they gave us a list of the activities. There's lunch Monday through Thursday, no lunch Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. So anyway, we may go over there once in a while. It'd be nice to know a few people there, so you could have some conversation. So anyway, so that's enough for now. So back to the net, back to Dave, KD7QKU.
QKU, thank you. Let's go to Port Angeles to Lee, N7KC.
Okay, all the buttons are pushed here. Is it working? All right, Dave says I'm in. Well, good evening all, N7KC Lee in Port Angeles. Well, Ron, very interesting, very interesting. Port Angeles has just a beautiful, beautiful senior center here. And it is really, really nice. And it is, it's well, when I say well used, I don't mean it's damaged in any way, but it's just an awful lot of people go down there. And they have pool, and they have just everything you can imagine going on there. Pickleball, line dancing, pocket pool. It's all belongs. I did for a while, but I don't take advantage of it. She's down there, line dance class at least once a week, and once a month. If she's in a mystery book club, they go down there. Anyway, everybody has a good time. Rainfall-wise here in Port Angeles, as of so this is the 6th day of December, and our total rainfall at this point is 2.26 inches. Not getting our rain. It brings us up to about 15 for the year here, and we should be 25 at this point. So we're still behind. We've caught up a little bit, but we're still way behind. I tweaked my lower back this morning. Son of a gun, I have a set of exercises that I do. It takes about 45 minutes, and I do them religiously at 6:30 every morning until about 7:15. And I always warm up a little bit just by stretching. I'll be doggone if not on my first stretches, I felt something go twang, and it's a muscle spasm, dang it, and I had to lay down, and I didn't get my exercise today, and I've been gimping around here. A couple of Tylenol's kept me in the, well, I couldn't do much. So I got some computer work done, that's about it. Shucks, I did have some pictures. I finished my 7th fan with putting roller bearings in, and on the last one I took some photos on my phone. I don't have any video, but anyway, and I was going to put those together, get them off the phone, but something came up here a little earlier and I didn't get a chance to do it. Oops, I'm out of time. What do you know? Back to you, Dave. This is 7K Lee in Port Angeles.
And 7KC, and time for an ID again. This is the Western Washington Amateur Television Society net on the 08 machine. I'm Dave, KD7ZYM. Let's go to Bottle Bob, K9PQ.
Second, please. Is not working right with my setup here. Okay, I'm gonna switch my video. Hang on. Okay, well, one more thing. Click here, and we should see me. There we are. Okay, well, not exactly sure what went wrong there. I was trying to switch in my other camera, and for some reason it didn't do its thing. So I'll have to go and take a look at that later. Well, I'm going to copy James tonight. I have a trivia question for you all tonight, and it's a little tricky. What mid-20th century invention made cursive obsolete? So, as I say, it's a little tricky. Might be different than you think. Anyway, so that's my trivia. As far as what else is going on, well, I got my spare room cleared out from when my sisters had stayed the night here, and I've got it set up to be a nice sort of a workspace for myself to prepare to get back into the among the working people. So I'm doing some studying up and prep work for that, and hope to be employed here soon. What else is going on? I don't know, just like everybody, the rain. It's been lots of rain, very wet, and I've been staying dry and warm inside. So, not a whole lot else to report. I will send it back to Ned, K9PQ.
9PQ, let's go to Kent, to Richard, K7ITX. What say you?
Well, the only thing I can think of that made cursive obsolete is digital communication. So I don't know if that's too simple for an answer, though. So I'll just leave that alone. So yeah, we had 2.5 inches yesterday. So yeah, Lee, it just blows my mind when I think of the Olympic Peninsula, you know, and the drought compared to what we're dealing with the last couple of days over here in Puget Sound. It's just crazy. But that's why you live there, for the rain shadow effect. At least that's what they always said about Squim. I never heard that about Port Angeles. So anyway, and I have to correct a faux pas that I created. I can't remember. It was a couple of days, last net or two, when I exclaimed that the Earth was rising in Iceland by the lava tubes by 3 inches a day. Well, wrong. How about 3/8 of an inch per day? My conversion from centimeters, you divide 100 into 36 inches, not 10 into 36 inches. So I don't know. I mean, that's just so. And I realized my mistake when when I did what you should do is look at a conversion calculator, and I go, oh my God, what a fool I am to say that. So anyway, but as far as iPhone goes, that lady Silky who I showed you guys the other day, she had a pretty good report yesterday about a protest by the citizens of Grindavik who, that's 1% of the population of Iceland has been forced out of their homes for good reason. A lot of them don't want to go back anyway, but they need some financial remuneration, so to speak. And Iceland is a very wealthy country anyway, and everything there, it's a socialist country in many respects, or a combination, kind of like the United States in some respects. But I think when it comes to insurance, mortgages, things of that nature, I think are heavily government subsidized. So they're really looking to the government right now to make things right for the city people that had to leave. Just like our country, there are protesters at the government pension offices were met by riot squad police. So that's the same. What can I say? And so I knew this was going to happen. I just was waiting for that shoe to drop. I think the government would just as soon this whole volcanic thing go away, and they can continue to fix the infrastructure in Grindavik. But people are saying, hey, you can do all the fixing you want. We don't feel like dealing with earthquakes all the time in our homes. It's a little disconcerting. So anyway, I thought that was all kind of interesting. I'm always looking forward to some of the YouTubers that are reporting, which includes some very well-known geologists at the University of Iceland. So with that, back to net control, K7ITX.
K7ITX, let's go to Jim, N7QO in Covington.
N7QO, thank you, Dave. Good evening, everyone. Dick, Iceland, yeah, wow. I don't know. I think everyone is on edge over there, and I think it's probably going to be that way for a little while, unfortunately. I hope everything turns out okay over there. Ron, wet in Tacoma. Well, it's wet over here as well. I can't give anyone a number. You and Lee do a pretty good job at that, but I don't have a... Actually, I do have a rain gauge around somewhere. I don't know where it is, but I've got one somewhere. It's not an electronic one. All it is a plastic tube, and you're supposed to set it out somewhere where it's shielded from the wind, basically, and let the rain collect in it. Wonder where it is. I know it's here somewhere. Okay, interesting thought. I heard today on the news that Tacoma passed a law which said you can no longer declaw your cats. Is that true? Man, I don't know. That sounds, I guess they deem it as cruel and inhumane punishment or something. I don't know. Personally, if I were a cat, I would rather they outlaw being neutered myself. But whatever. And talking about senior centers, yeah, I'm kind of, there's a senior center in Kent, and then there's one in Maple Valley. Those are the two closest to me. I'm actually closer to the one in Maple Valley than I am to the one in Kent. I can't say that I go there regularly. They're just, as far as I'm concerned, a little too far to go. But, yeah, they offer a lot, actually. Lee, sorry about your back muscle spasms. Back problems are no fun whatsoever. And congratulations on finishing your fan. Bob, looking for a job. I didn't know you were interested in doing that. Good luck with that. And I have no idea what they're saying made cursive obsolete. As far as I'm concerned, it is not obsolete. They just stopped teaching it for God only knows why. I guess you're going to tell us. I am curious about that. Oh yeah, by the way, I don't have anything on 1.2 right now. Earlier, I saw the inside of the repeater shack, and it was a really low-quality picture, probably worse than I've seen in a long time. But now I've got nothing, so just curious about that. Anyway, back to you, Dave, N7QO.
Thanks for that report. Get another idea here again. This is the Western Washington Amateur Television Society, net on the 08 machine. I'm Dave, KD7CYM. Let's go to James, WW7N in bottle. I mean, in period. Boom.
WW7N here in Bellevue, Washington. Thank you, Dave. Well, let's see. Okay, first thing I got to say is that the 1.2 gigahertz picture tonight is superb. Solid 5. Nothing changed at my end. So my theory is all the rain washed all the corrosion off the side of the tower, and now there's no more rain, and so now it's great because this is the best picture I've seen in a week, 2 weeks maybe. So anyone who's out there trying to get our signal on 1.2 gigahertz, I'm not sure how much longer we're going to be able to have an analog signal right there because of the changes that are probably coming next year or two to make way for satellite navigation systems the world over. And now would be a great night to test your software or try and capture that signal if anyone out there listening wants to do that. I think you said it was $3.50 for all that food. Yeah, that's correct. Wow, that is amazing. I didn't think you could even, get the napkin for $3.50 any place anymore. So that's pretty amazing there. And I'd like to say, Lee, you did inspire me with your project where you're replacing. You said you had little felt pads that you're supposed to put a drop of oil on that are in all those motors instead of proper bearings, and that you have custom made all of the bearings using your machinist tool machining skill sets. Well, what I did is that inspired me to take apart 2 heaters I own, blow out all the dust and crud with my air compressor, and then put 2 drops of oil on the little pads in the crappy motors I have. I don't know if I did it or not, but one of the 2 heaters now, the liquid crystal display that showed you what the heater was doing, it's dead now. So now it's got a little label that says display dead, but it doesn't matter because the only 2 settings were all on and all off. But I want you to know, Lee, I do want to see final results on the bearing project that might inspire me to do other things. I mean, this is like, I've replaced the death light bulb, I've cleaned out 2 fans. I mean, I'm really going full bore here. The other thing, cursive, yes. Okay, now the hint you gave me was you said the mid-20th century, which I'm going to put somewhere in the 40s or 50s. Oops, what? CWID? I saw Lee waving his hands there for a minute. So can you hear me, Lee, on Echolink? Mid-20th century, I would say that's somewhere about the time of the invention of the ballpoint pen. So I'm not sure if that's what you're looking for, Bob, because there were many other things I think that contributed to the demise of cursive, where certainly I was taught typing, some 50 years ago, but there was still plenty of cursive writing going on. So I would say invention of ballpoint pen combined with Richard's answer of all the digital communications. Typing became teletype, then became, radio teletype, and eventually, certainly by the 80s and 90s, computers were well on their way. So typing was far more important, I think, than writing cursive. But that's just my guess, because I think the whole point of a quill pen, why you had cursive, is because you couldn't pick the pen up off the paper. You had to kind of go for a word, and then you had to kind of clean the pen or re-ink the pen, and then go for another word, and then repeat that process over and over again. I thought that was the reasoning, but I'd be interested to hear other people's opinions on why we had quill pens, which became metallic fountain pens, which had, pretty much not exactly the same problem, but then with the ballpoint pen, you had no problem at all. You could pick the pen up and down as much as you wanted on the paper. So I'm interested in hearing everybody else's opinion on that analysis. Jim was saying he couldn't find his rain gauge. I'm suggesting you look on the roof. That's where I always leave mine. But that's just a wild suggestion there. I don't know. Okay, so the person that said there was a law for cat, you could not declaw your cat in Tacoma anymore. Wow, I bet the veterinarians really enjoyed that law. But I can kind of see that, because then the cat can't defend itself. But you'll be glad to know that for crazy old men in the city limits of Tacoma, you can still own assault rifles, explosives, nerve gas. You don't ever have to give up the car keys. You can keep them forever, no matter how blind and deaf and stupid you get. So, thank God, they haven't gone into the sacred territories where it would directly affect us. So that's good. News, you just slid it in there, Bob. You're going to get a job. We want to hear all about it, of course, whether now or later. Can't wait to hear all about it. This is James, WW7ATS in Northeast Bellevue with the Western Washington Amateur Television Society. Let's turn it back to Dave on net control.
7N, thanks for that, James. This is Dave, KD7CYM in Lake City. Well, it's not raining right now here. We got 47 degrees outside. Still a little bit on the cloudy side. Well, I ventured off to Costco today. I noticed when I went to pick up my cell phone, it wasn't charging on the wireless charger. So I ran some diagnostics on the charger, and it was DOA. So I went to Costco and I picked up another one, so it seems to be charging now. So anyway, but in the meantime, I had a regular wired charger for my iPhone that I managed to charge up and utilize that. And let's see, for Lee, I didn't realize he was a fans-only person, and that certainly kept him busy. So I'm saying I don't have a lot to offer for fans only myself, but at least definitely is in the pilot seat for that. But let's see, for Bob, well, I could go back to the printing press, then typewriters, and then Morse code, word processors, a plethora of things. But this is only my guess. This is Dave, KD7CYM. So let's go up to Ron, KD7QKU.
Okay. It's Ron again, KD7QKU. Well, I didn't understand what Bob, his trivia question, I couldn't understand what he was saying. So, I don't know, my hearing or his radio. I didn't get it. But now I realize that you guys are talking about cursive writing, and so, I mean, I heard somebody talk about ballpoint pens and everything. So the other day when this guy came over to write an estimate for us, he had the old style ink pen, you know, that they used to have them probably in the 50s. They had a little thing on the side of them, and you'd stick them in the bottle of ink, and you'd pull the little lever down, and it had a little rubber, I guess, thing inside, and you'd fill it full of ink, and then you'd write with your pen. Well, he had one of those. I was really surprised. So I guess those are maybe coming back. He was a younger guy, probably in his 30s, and I guess he likes things like that. I was surprised to see that he was writing with them. I guess, I don't know, I even forget what you call them, but it was before the ballpoint pen. And then you were talking about declawing cats. It was kind of amazing. I worked for a veterinarian when I was a kid. Never saw a cat declawed. And then we had this cat, and we really liked her. And she liked me. I was her favorite person. We bought a brand new Davino, and she had her own cat door. She could go in and out. She scratched on everything outside. We bought this brand new Davino, and one day we went right after, I don't know, within a few days after we had it, we came home from work, and she had just destroyed the arm on the cat, the brand new Davino. Just scratched it to pieces, practically. And it made me so upset that I taken her by the nape of the neck, and I taken her over to the veterinarian, and I said, declaw her. And I didn't ask for any details. And so, in a few days, they called and said she was ready to go home. Well, what declawing involves, if you guys don't realize it, is they take off the first joints of their toes. And here was this poor little cat with these stubby front feet now. And she loved to go outside and hunt and climb and do all these things. And I felt so bad when I found out what happened to her that, I mean, we regretted the Davino, that was for sure. So until her feet healed up, I would have to go out and dig with my hand a little hole for her to go to the bathroom and cover it up. And I probably did that for several months before her feet were healed up enough where she could dig her own little hole. So I can understand that people might not want to have that done. I mean, it's terrible. I think the cat was so depressed that she wanted to commit suicide. If you can believe that. She would set out in the middle of the road. She'd never done that before. I think she wanted to get run over. And she liked to spend time up on the roof, but she wouldn't spend any more. She couldn't get on the roof anymore. I actually built her a little ramp and put little cleats on it on the side of the patio so that she could walk up the little ramp and then get on top of the roof. I mean, that's how bad I felt about it. It taken her, I bet, 2 years to get over the depression or shock or whatever it was. And so later on she would try to catch birds, but she couldn't catch them, which was kind of a good thing. But anyway, she would still try hunt, But yeah, it was really sad. I was so sorry that I'd done that to her, even though, like I say, she destroyed the arm on our brand new Davino, which we probably paid $600 or $800 for. And that was quite a few years ago. That's a lot of money. But anyway, we had to put a cover over the Davino so that we could use it. So anyway, until we bought another new one, probably 10 years later. But anyway, that's my cat declawing story. So but before I time out, Lee, I don't know. Let me let her drop. You were saying you had a back spasm. I don't know if this would help or not, but when we get Charlie horses, we eat pickles or drink some pickle juice, and it really works. Another friend of mine told me, so I don't know if that would help you on your back or not. My brother-in-law here in Tacoma doesn't like pickles per se, and So he got some bad cramps. And I had told him that if he would eat some pickles or drink some pickle juice, and so I guess he was laying in bed and he had cramps so bad that he had to hobble out to the kitchen and eat some pickles whether he wanted to or not. It fixed his cramps, he said. So he's a firm believer now in pickles or pickle juice. He was here one day and he asked for some pickles because I guess he was getting some cramps in his legs or groins or someplace. I don't know where he was, but he was holding his hamstring or something. Anyway, and like I say, he doesn't like pickles. He was begging for pickles. All right, that's enough. Back to net KD7QKU. Oh, fountain pen is what they were called. I couldn't think of it. Fountain pen. KD7QKU.
87QKU. Let's go on to Lee in 7KC in Port Angeles.
Okay, here I am again, L Bond in 7KC in Port Angeles. Okay, well, all right, the question that Bob posed. Well, first off, remember the early ballpoint pens? When I was a kid, they were just, kind of starting to come into the country. Leak, oh my gosh, what messy things they were. Or the ball would stick and it didn't roll, and oh my gosh, they were just awful. And it ruined a lot of clothes, people put them in their shirts and, they leak. Okay, when I was in the Navy, Hermes, the typewriter company, put out a cursive typewriter, and I bought one. And it was ever so nice. It was beautiful. It was just perfect cursive writing. So I'm going to postulate that it was the advent of the Hermes cursive typewriter. Maybe that was it, because that's probably about the right time when it came in. Okay, bearings. I did not make the new bearings. I bought the new bearings. The first operation was to make a CAD drawing to see if it could be done, and then I went looking at Bearings Inc., big bearing operation in this country, for a bearing that would actually do the job. And sure enough, I found something that I could fit in there. And they're really inexpensive, 10 of them for $8. Can you believe that? Nice ball bearings. They're sealed, lubricated for life, and all that. So I bought 10 and did 5 fans, and then I had 2 more fans, so I bought another 10. And I've got 1 fan left, but it's got a really nice motor in it. I don't know, it may have ball bearings in it right now. It's been running for years without a problem. So, Now, the other thing is talking about rain gauges and measuring rain. I bought a Stratus precision rain gauge, and it's the doggone nicest thing for measuring rain I ever have had. I've had a lot of them. It is just, so it's like $37 or $38. Very, very nice. If you're interested in keeping track of rain, one inch of rain in the Stratus sits about 10 inches high, so it multiplies by 10. So I can read to 2 decimal places with no problem whatsoever. Very, very nice. My timer just ran out. What else did I have here? Well, I don't have anything else. So back to you, Dave. This is 7KC Lee in Port Angeles. Go ahead.
In 7KC, thanks for that. Let's go to Bob, K9PQ in Pothole.
Okay, well, James gets the prize. It was the ballpoint pen, and he had it nailed. The only thing I can add is it was the fact that quill pens were used right up till World War II, and even for a while after World War II. I'll get to that in a moment. But the one other thing about wanting to write an entire word with the quill pen was not so much that you had to worry about running out of ink, but every time you raised the pen off the paper or put it on, you had a chance of leaving a little ink blot. And you had to use a blotter to get those ink blots up. And so by writing cursive, you could write out the entire word and maybe only have a single ink blot to have to deal with instead of for every letter, or even every piece of a letter, as some people write block lettering. So that was, according to the article I read, that was the what made, you know, obviously they still taught cursive. They taught it to me in grade school, and maybe still do. I don't know, but it became really unnecessary at that point. And as for leaking ballpoint pens, Lee, yeah. So the article I read was I was looking up biro, because I think the Brits called ballpoint pens a biro, B-I-R-O, and he was the one that sort of perfected it. And so there were other ballpoint pens around, but they didn't work well, and leaked and all that kind of stuff. And he perfected it. And one of the things he did was change the ink. He was a newspaper man, and he used the newspaper ink and then modified that to work better with the ballpoint pen. But it dried more quickly, so you didn't have the smearing and problems like that. And it flowed from the ballpoint pen very well. So that's that. And James was also right on. I saw his note in the chat. The fountain pen is the quill pen concept, but where it has a bladder inside the pen, and you take that little lever and suck up the ink, and then push the lever down, and it will write. So that's those. Let me break. And one other thing about James mentioning, you know, you could still get all different kinds of weapons and everything. Somewhere on the internet, when I was reading through some chats, somebody mentioned the XM42 modular flamethrower, which you could purchase for about $600, unless you're in California or Maryland. So there you go. Go look that one up on the internet. It's pretty amusing. And James, I want to see you demonstrating one here, or on the next net, or sometime soon. So, okay, well, that's good for now. It may come back to me or may not, but anyway, well done, James, and I will send it back to the net, K9PQ.
NPQ, thanks for that, and get an idea here again. This is the Western Washington Amateur Television Society net on the 08 machine. I'm Dave, KD7CYM. Well, let's move on to Richard, K7ITX in Kent.
So I was at the bank today, taking care of my mom's estate, and now I don't know if this has anything to do with cursive, but it sure seems like it, because you know the way you sign things now, not just at banks but a lot of places, but the bank in particular, you sign on this weird pad, and it is the hardest thing I think I've done in a long time. And I had to do it like 6 times, but times 2, because I always would screw it up somehow. And you had to, if you didn't write in cursive and stopped, a couple things could happen. Number one, you just couldn't see what you were doing at one point, or the whole thing would disappear. So once you started, you really didn't want to lift up the instrument that you were writing with for fear you'd have to start all over again. And it was the worst penmanship you could ask for. So why? I mean, I know why they want this, and I guess it's fine, but it's hideous, I'm telling you. I feel sorry for people that have to use these things to sign a lot. Man, I was dead tired, I'm telling you. And let's see, Ron, god dang it, that's a sad story. You know, we had a couple cats that we didn't declaw, but had been declawed, and they were the most timid things you ever saw. And I'm sure it's because of the declawing thing. They were timid, and oh god, I don't know, Ron, that is so sad. I mean, I just relived your chapter in life, I'm telling you, because, you know, we have Mika, and obviously she's got claws, no doubt, and she gets a lot of respect for that, especially with Pippa. So, last but not least, in our neighborhood, a neighbor a couple blocks down from me had a brand new F-350 Ford stolen right from in front of his house. And, so how did he, with all the, technology they had, how do they do it? Well, they do it with shortwave radio receivers. They can pick up the signal of the key inside your home, and they marry it with the signal coming from the car, and voila, they now have a ability to push button start and drive your new car away. So that being said, Debbie and I now have Faraday cages, Faraday pouches for our key. And they work fine. You cannot have your fob in this pouch and expect to start your car. It's impossible. So we're just going to fight. Oh, hey, Ron's got it. There you go, Ron. Thank you very much. That's what it is. And so, we're fighting fire with fire. And plus, with my 2005 cars, they have smart keys. The same latest technologies. The smart key is pretty good unless the guy figures out a way to get to the wiring, like behind your headlight when you're not looking, and attach to that, and he can pretend he's a smart key through the wiring that's just in your car. So I've defeated that with it's this new invention called the club. And I think that helps. That'll defeat that whole thing. I mean, so they're going to have to have bolt cutters and time and technology to get behind my headlight or tail light or whatever. So anyway, that's what I know for now. If it isn't declawing cats signing at the bank, it's now you got to fight with the Faraday cage for your keyless car. K7ITX, back to net control.
K7ITX, thanks for that. Well, let's go on to Jim, N7QO.
N7QO, thank you, Dave. Well, Dick, yeah, keyless cars. I don't know. I know that I saw something on television where someone had either a Kia or a Hyundai, and they installed the club on it, and they went back to the where they parked the car, and lo and behold, the car was gone, and the club was laying on the ground where the car used to be parked. I don't know how they got it off, but nowadays it's kind of difficult to make things theft-proof. Oh well. Okay, so we're talking about this cursive and all that, and I don't quite get it. Whenever you, quote, sign a document, they ask for your signature, and sometimes you're supposed to use your finger to do a cursive thing, but then there are other times when you just do a click with your mouse, and guess what? your cursive signature shows up, or at least some computer rendition thereof. So, but if you can't even read cursive because you've never been taught that, how can you tell that that's even your name? I don't understand why the schools don't teach cursive. I don't know. Maybe someone's trying to replace our names with a number or something. It's don't know exactly what to make of that. Don't know exactly what the motive is. And a lot of documents are written in cursive from way back when the country was formed. Seems if you can't read that, you're missing something. But I don't know. And Ron, you built a ramp for your cat. That was nice. Yeah, a declawed cat. I'll bet that would give the cat problems. But I don't know. Lee, thanks for mentioning that Stratus rain gauge. I might think about getting one someday. Jim, I know in what room my rain gauge is located. I just don't know in which box it's located. But mine would be the kind that I'd have to empty regularly, so I wouldn't put it up on the roof. Mine would be like on a fence post out in the yard or something. And let's see. Ink that dries faster. When I was young, I used to read newspapers a lot, and the number one complaint I had about newspapers is you after you read it, your fingers are just all black with the ink that came off of the newspaper. So I kind of got away from newspapers for that reason. It was just too much of a pain in the butt. Wonder if they ever fixed that problem. I can't say I've read actually, when I was on trips, I'd pick up a USA Today or something. Okay. Anyway, that's what I remember from my youth. And let's see, flamethrower. Yeah, someone sent me an ad about that. They had the thing on sale for, it was either $4.99 or $5.99. I don't remember. No, I don't have any use for that. But interesting. Back to you, Dave, N7QO.
QO, let's go to Bellevue Land to WU7N, James.
I went to the next step, and there it is, the XM42-M modular. It looks like a lawsuit just waiting to happen, doesn't it? Yeah, you thought you had to actually work to end up with severe legal problems. Nope, not anymore. There's a company out there that'll just help you right away. Thank you, Bob, for that contribution, because of course that's what I want Santa to bring me. Who knows what I'll do with it? They actually list a whole bunch of, what you think of, constructive things to do with it. So I guess it is a useful tool, but it just strikes me as like, I don't know what. It's like a circular saw that instead of the saw staying inside the circular saw, it throws them out or something. I don't know. It just seems like it's just an idea that I would carefully research engineering solutions to a problem many, many ways before I would buy the XM42. Sorry, marketing department. This is amazing. You can get 8 ball bearings. Is that in a race? I mean, that's 8 ball bearings mounted in a race for $10, or was that just the ball bearings and you had to build your own race? Maybe you could fill us in on that, because that just seems so inexpensive to me. Thank you for the point into the Stratus rain gauge. I'll have to look at that. I have a complete weather station sitting in a closet. I've got to pull out and get out sometime. I just didn't get around to it this past summer. And the years go by. I'm hoping there's no batteries in it, because by now the batteries would be corroded all over the thing, and it's a piece of garbage. So I have to do that someday. Anyway, I see we have 5 minutes to the top of the hour, so maybe we can all get around one more time. This is James, WW7ATS in Northeast Bellevue. Go ahead, Dave.
7N, this is Dave, KD7CYM in Lake City. As far as cursive goes, I'm still a check writer, and so I use cursive to sign my name on each check, so I still have that ability going. And for cars, I talked to a mechanic many years ago talking about thefts, and he had a great idea I never implemented, was to put an off-on switch on the fuel pump line. So you could have a hidden switch in the dash somewhere or someplace in the console and flip the switch, and a person is only going to get about 30 seconds of fuel that's in the line to turn the motor over, and that's the end of the fuel supply. So that was one idea. Oh my. And talking about couches and animals, I had a Cocker Spaniel once, and it was winter time. I had to go to the store, so I left the dog inside where he'd be nice and cozy, warm, while I went to the store. When I came home, he had shredded 3 cushions on the Davino, and boy, can a dog really destroy a cushion. It's just unbelievable to see him stuffing all over the living room. He really had a heyday. I'm sure he thought he was doing justice, but I did keep the dog and didn't have a repeat on that. As he grew older, he seemed to be kinder to the couch. He decided that was a good place to sit rather than tear it up. So this is Dave, KD7CYM in Lake City. So I think we got time for Ron, KD7QKU.
KD7QKU here. Well, I have an Oregon rain gauge, and it's digital, you know, and it transmits, and I've had it for a long time. It was not very expensive, and it's self-bailing, so it empties the water, and all you have to do every couple of years is take it apart and clean all the green gunk that gets in it, and then it works just fine again. So I'd recommend the Oregon. It's like a great big cup, but this has to set on a level surface. So as far as stealing cars go, and kill switches and stuff, so my friend lived up in Magnolia, had his pickup stole 2 or 3 times, and so he put a kill switch on it. And so all they do is just take, he had a club on it, they just take an electric battery operated sawzall, and they just cut your steering wheel. They just make one notch on one side. They can drive the car with the piece missing in the steering wheel, no problem. And they tear the ignition switch out, and then they hotwire it, and then they find out it's got a kill switch in it. Well, they busted the window, jimmied the door lock, tore out your ignition switch, and sawed up your steering wheel, and then they can't go any place with it. So that was his experience. So anyway, now he has a camera out there, and they haven't bothered him for a while, but they found his pickup over here in Tacoma a couple of times, and it was a 3/4 ton diesel, and they tore everything out of it and smashed it up and everything. Last time he didn't want it back, so the insurance company gave him $12,000, and he went out and bought a different pickup. So anyway, all right, enough of that, I guess. Back to net, KD7QKU.
QKU. Well, we got to button up the net. At this point, we'd like to thank the SeaTac Repeater Association for letting us use WW7STR's repeater 147.08 with a tone of 103.5 for our voice transmissions. So on behalf of the Western Washington Amateur Television Society, this is Dave, KD7CYM, terminating the net at 9 o'clock. Good evening, all.